Hi, Annie here. I am on here today to share a little bit about attachment in relationships. And for those of you who, whether you're familiar or not familiar with the term and concepts around attachment theory, this is not what I'm getting into today, but it's somewhat related. So I do recommend looking up attachment theory if you're not familiar already, and maybe I'll share more about that at another time. I think the most important thing about attachment theory, regardless of how you relate to relating, or if you're a therapist or if you're a client, wherever you're at with your journey, is that when we start, if we like self-diagnose or, okay, I tend to be on the anxious side of things, which I do, in relationships, that we can really easily start to identify with that label. And for some of us, that can be extremely helpful. And for some of us, that can be really harmful for various reasons. So I'm not going to get super into that today, but I just recommend keeping that in mind when you're learning about attachment theory and attachment styles. So what I do want to share about today, one is this gorgeous creek I am with right now. Little moment of sun here. Thank you for joining me. So this is a concept to me that's been just as important as attachment theory. It's more of like a framework of thinking about attachment, because especially as a non-monogamous person, as someone who relates openly to lovers and loves in my life, is that the difference between our energetic or spiritual, for some people it could be spiritual, but for some, if you're not relating to that, the word or ideas of spirituality, it could be energetic, but just more subtle layers of attachment, and then our emotional reality. Because if you have studied spirituality at all, including Buddhism, there's this common thread around non-attachment. How can we remain non-attached to those in our lives who we want to be, or perhaps are, the closest to? Like, how does that work? So the way I think about it is, and feel about it is, this is how I've been able to maintain balance with that, is we have fulfillment in our intimacy because of emotional attachment. It is a very primal animal, human right and joy and pleasure to get to be attached. We are social creatures. We're wired for attachment. We are wired for emotional connection with those closest to us. I highly recommend Jessica Fern's book, Polysecure, whether you're polyamorous or not, because knowing about that perspective on attachment is very important for any person, I think. Because probably someone in your life, whether it's your child or your friend or your sibling, might be considering being polyamorous or open relating. So the more we all educate ourselves, the more we can be better community members and friends. So the Polysecure book is one of the best books to date around the intersection of trauma, attachment, and open relating. So that's like a footnote. But this acknowledgement of emotional attachment, how can we honor that while not succumbing or just orienting completely around like the pain that happens from either a loss or being in an open relationship where it can be really difficult. So for me, that's a spiritual practice. It could be energetic or whatever label you want to use with that. But to really cultivate a mindfulness of non-attachment, that no matter how close and loving you are with someone, that they don't belong to you, that they're not your property, and their feelings are autonomous from yours. And that they're on their own journey and they deserve some energetic space around that journey, whether you've known them for one day or 4 decades. That we really honor that we're all separate while also being connected. So that's the paradox of a human experience, is that those things are both true at the same time. So when we can really, like I said, for me it's spiritual, but whatever your version of that is, to really like allow someone to have their separate experience while also maintaining, honoring, and acting upon through conversations, through acts of love and care, this emotional attachment. This is a balancing act. This is a paradox to manage. This is the proactive work of being in a relationship. And I think this applies to any relationship structure, whether it's open or exclusive, because of various reasons we can get triggered or insecure around our partners, regardless of exclusivity or not. So yeah, I hope that's helpful. I just remind myself of that sometimes when I'm feeling a little bit confused or challenged in the inherent complexities that are open relating. And I really have found a lot of solace in this framework. So I hope it helps you too. And I hope you have a glorious day and are enjoying the fall. And I hope you continue to take really good care of yourself and your relationship with your intimacy and your relationships closest to you. And cheers.